This is the last imperial mausoleum of the Qing Dynasty, built about 100 years ago. The owner of the tomb, Emperor Guangxu, ascended the throne at the age of 4. He never really held power in his life and was just a puppet. He was poisoned to death at the age of 37. 25 years after his burial, the tomb was robbed, and his body was dragged out of the coffin. This is the story of this tragic emperor and his tomb. In Yixian County, Baoding City, Hebei Province, China, there is an imperial cemetery of the Qing Dynasty, where 4 emperors were buried. The Qing Dynasty ruled China from 1644 to 1911, and Guangxu was the second to last emperor. As the successor of the Ming Dynasty, the style and layout of the imperial tombs of the Qing Dynasty were similar to those of the Ming Dynasty. In 1875, 4-year-old Zai Tian ascended the throne, and his reign title was Guangxu. Due to his young age, all the power was in the hands of his aunt, Empress Dowager Cixi, who was 40 years old at the time. After Emperor Guangxu turned 18, Empress Dowager Cixi should have handed over power, but she did not do so. Guangxu was still a puppet emperor. In this pavilion stands a stone tablet with the name and the title of the tomb owner, Emperor Guangxu, engraved on it. As the Qing dynasty suffered a series of military defeats at the time, Empress Dowager Cixi had to allow Emperor Guangxu to introduce some reforms. After that, the ambitious emperor appointed a group of reformist officials to implement new policies. Unfortunately, their approach was too radical, and the young emperor seemed to want to solve all the Qing dynasty's problems overnight. This naturally aroused fierce opposition from conservatives, including the Empress Dowager Cixi. After crossing the stone bridge, we can see the entrance of the mausoleum, and inside are the main buildings of the tomb. The reform only lasted 103 days before it was forced to end. These officials were either killed or fled. After that, Emperor Guangxu was imprisoned on an island in the imperial palace. He was 27 years old at the time. After 10 years of melancholy, Emperor Guangxu passed away on November 14, 1908. At the age of 37. According to official reports, Guangxu died of illness. In less than a day, 20 hours later to be exact, Empress Dowager Cixi also passed away. Is this just a coincidence? This tall building is the main hall, which houses the memorial tablet of the tomb owner, and is where ceremonies were held in the past. Many people believed that the 73-year-old Empress Dowager Cixi was seriously ill and knew that she was about to die soon. She was afraid that Guangxu would return to power after her death, so she had to kill him before she died. If this speculation is true, it means that Guangxu died of murder, but there was no evidence to support this theory at the time. In 1913, the mausoleum was completed and Guangxu was laid to rest. The courtyard behind the main hall is where the tomb owner rests. However, China at that time was amid decades of chaos. In 1938, a group of gangsters robbed the tomb, and their identities remain unknown to to this day. Under this building is the entrance of the tomb chamber, the final resting place of Emperor Guangxu. Now, let's go and have a look. Before going into the underground palace, we need to understand the structure of this area. Behind this building, under the mound, is the tomb chamber. Although this tunnel is sealed, since the structures of Qing Dynasty imperial tombs are similar, we know from other tombs that there is a screening wall at the end of this tunnel, and below it is the entrance to the underground palace. The tomb chamber is only a few meters away from the ground. Where we stand now was originally a sloping passage, and there was a wall at this location to block the tomb passage. Above this wall was the screening wall on the ground. In 1938, the tomb robbers dug down from the screening wall, then bypassed this wall from below, and entered the tomb from right here. Compared with the Ming tombs, the underground palace of this mausoleum is much smaller and can even be described as austere. I will leave the link to the underground palace of the Ming Emperor's mausoleum in the description. There are 3 pairs of stone doors in the underground palace, and each door is carved with a Buddha statue. It is cold and damp inside the tomb. Even though there are many tourists, it still feels creepy. At the end of the passage is the chamber where Guangxu's coffin is located. After the tomb robbers arrived in 1938, they couldn't open the coffin, so they cut a big hole in the coffin and dragged the body of Emperor Guangxu out of the coffin. After that, they got into the coffin and took away almost all the treasures inside. The same thing also happened to the coffin of the emperors. In 1980, archaeologists opened the mausoleum from beneath the screening wall and found that the tomb chamber was in a mess. We can see that big hole in the coffin of Emperor Guangxu in this old photo. They put the remains of Emperor Guangxu and the emperors into wooden boxes and placed them back in the repaired coffins. It means that at this moment, the remains of Emperor Guangxu are inside this coffin, and this has been confirmed by the staff here. The white part on the coffin is the mark of repairs. In 2008, experts used modern scientific methods to analyze the remains, hair, and clothing of Emperor Guangxu and came to a shocking conclusion. Emperor Guangxu died of acute arsenic poisoning, which means that he had consumed a large amount of poison before his death. There are rumors that Emperor Guangxu drank a bowl of yogurt sent by Emperor Dowager Cixi on the day of his death. Could this be the cause of his death? We may never know. After the death of Emperor Guangxu, his nephew, 2-year-old Pu Yi, ascended the throne. 4 years later, the Qing Dynasty fell. As the last emperor of the Qing Dynasty, Pu Yi passed away in 1967 and was buried in a public cemetery as an ordinary citizen. Therefore, although Guangxu was the second to last emperor of the Qing Dynasty, his tomb was the last imperial mausoleum of the Qing Dynasty. As an emperor who was only more than 100 years away from today, not even a single photo of Guangxu has been preserved. This most famous portrait is just a sketch. Many other so-called photos of Guangxu turned out to be photos of his brothers or relatives. We can't even see through the fog of history 100 years ago. It seems that history always leaves us with more mysteries than answers.